Hey everybody, welcome to Exceder. We were off last week, but we're back this week. I'm Chris, got Joe with me,
I'm
and we
here.
got we got quiz Paul on what's going on. Paul will jump on, but he says I got VBS, I'm gonna be late. Uh, Joe, we're taping this at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What's going on, man?
I don't know, man. It's that kind of VBS. Like, what kind of vacation is this? Like a Caribbean vacation? This is the we're on the islands right now, just relaxing and chilling and having that kind of vacation Bible school.
Yeah, the after party. Well, we've got
it's more vacation than school, I think.
Yeah, well, we've got a big list to get through, but this will definitely be added onto the list. The thing we just heard about. So very good. Just give you an update. Last week was kind of crazy. My attitude toward health has changed a little bit. As you know, I've been fighting an injury, so I've been kind of out for the last little bit. Mm-hmm. But remember, about 2 years ago, we had like the Crisis podcast where we talked about heart cath for an hour and a half, and we were freaked out. I thought I was going to have open heart. Well, last Friday I had my third open heart, not open heart, my third heart cath procedure, and the actual wasn't too
not
bad.
Open heart. No.
Yeah. My third open heart in the last 2 weeks. It was
if you've had 3 open heart surgeries in the past 2 weeks, we would not be podcasting right now.
Right. Or we might. It'd be great. I mean, it'd be the miraculous.
Would it be great? Would it be great?
Yeah. It'd be rough.
Not even allowed to rage bait each other and get into a really heated argument because you can't do that.
Well, I definitely don't want to get
another calmly to one another.
I definitely don't want to get another hour and a half description, but I'll tell you, it went pretty well. There was one area that was blocked, had stent, and was okay. I don't know, the stent wasn't bad. I felt a little tired, and it was a little out of it for a day or two, but I'm back. Usually your arm looks rough after they cut into it. I've got two little bumps, but that's it, man. I'm good. The only thing on me is I can't lift more than 5 pounds for a week. Joe, everything is over 5 pounds.
Everything.
They said the milk of like your gallon of milk is 8 pounds. So don't lift it up. But my left arm.
So you just poke a hole in the bottom and drink from it? Like, what do you do?
I don't know. Stop drinking milk, I guess. I don't know.
Guess.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Other weird thing, they shave you. Thank the Lord they go for your arm.
Top to toe. They shave everything, right?
They shave the groin. And it's awkward. I mean, I'm a little nervous. I wasn't freaked out, but you're a little nervous. So the dad jokes come out. But what type of jokes do you make when a nurse is shaving around your groin? Hey.
So did they find the tattoo down there?
Yes. Well, what can you say without being a pervert or horrible? Yeah,
nothing. There's nothing to say. Just be quiet. Yep.
And the nurse, it was one of the 3 nurses. She was quieter, so it was good. Mm-hmm. I think on ESPN, I was watching a little ESPN. What do you call it? The Stephen A. Smith show, which I don't like as much, but it was okay. And went down there. I was in tears the last time I had a heart cath. I wasn't in tears. I was just more like, let's get it done. And, it's funny. With the kidney stone surgery I had a couple weeks ago, yes, I'm a mess. I've had 500 surgeries this year. It took them 10 minutes to put me out. Like, they bring me down. I'm awake. Hey, I'm Bob, the doctor. And I'm like, put me out,
I don't need any of this information. Please not right now.
This is too much, right? Well, the heart cath, and thank God I wasn't in hysterics. I just said, please dope me up. I don't want to feel it because you're not all the way out. And they're like, okay, we'll dope you up. Don't worry. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I had to shimmy over. Well, I can't move around too well after my injury. We'll leave it at that. So I had to kind of go over from one bed to another, and they'll give you a pillow. I need a pillow. I don't want to be flat on my back looking up at the ceiling. It was just
that's exactly what they want you to do.
But no, it was all good. I kind of woke up on the way back to the room, hung out there a couple hours, went home. It was good. But some other things I want to share that we could talk a little bit more about today. Love my work. They're very flexible in how I work. So I kind of worked the early morning and later afternoon. And I went to the Ohio State Fair today, Joe. How about this? Lots of fun stuff. They have a new Ohio museum you can go through where they show you like Ohio artifacts, and it ends up with a Ohio like cafeteria, which was kind of fun.
What all is in the cafeteria?
Like Schmidt's, it's a sausage place. I'm not crazy about that, but I mean it was nice just to go through.
Were there all sorts of items and stuff from like food items and whatever from all over the state, or was it just a couple of representative things?
All I heard was they were all Ohio based. So like there was a pizza place and other stuff. I did a video, but I haven't got a chance to upload it yet. So I'll have to share. Did they have Wendy's?
Did they have Skyline?
No, it was like Schmidt's. It was like this pizza place I never heard of before. But to be honest, dude, food is expensive, man.
Yeah.
Schmidt's had a cream puff that was nice but looked small, $8. And then they have like the donut burger, where pretty much it's a burger with like donut slabs around it, $17.
Yeah.
And you know, we got 4 kids, one's 13, one's 19. They both eat a lot more. They have special needs, but they have a especially big appetite. And we're like, nope, we're going. So we ate at like 2:30, but we just went to a drive-thru because we just didn't have time, man. It was rough.
Yeah.
So I need to talk about that a little bit too. But well, you know what? Let me save the carousel to after Paul gets in because Paul might like this too. Let me yell at you about the issue I had on the way home.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a little healthier. You know, I'm going through some heart stuff and just some other injuries. Why can't a fast food place have grilled chicken sandwiches? Hardly anybody has them anymore. I'm really.
Doesn't Wendy's have them?
Wendy's has a wrap. Which
switched over to the wrap. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just a little not into that. But we actually asked them once, we went to the drive-thru, can't you dump the wrap stuff on the sandwich? No, we can't. Why can't you do that? It's not that hard. It's not that crazy. What's up with Wendy's? I'm a little frustrated by this.
Does not Chick-fil-A do a grilled sandwich?
Chick-fil-A has one, and that's why I've been kind of more getting toward the Chick-fil-A. But my wife, who started her career working at Chick-fil-A, like she's like, "Oh, we don't have time today because we were running late." Like I told my boss to be back at a certain time. She had the kids had a tutoring session, and we were running late for that, so we didn't have time to go there. So Chick-fil-A is great. Bravo Chick-fil-A, but McDonald's, they used to have grilled chicken. They don't anymore. The only healthy thing they have, period, is the oatmeal. But my wife was telling me, "Oh, there's so much sodium for there."
Yeah.
So there was stuff to check out. There was a new Popeyes on our way home, so I'm like, let's check out chicken place. I could have sworn there was grilled chicken. No grilled chicken at all.
So.
Everything was fried half to death.
Oh yeah.
And so I ended up
welcome to Popeyes. That's what.
Yes.
That is. And if you were trying to do anything quickly, Popeyes is not the stop.
Yeah, definitely.
I gotta say, and I don't know if it's a difference regionally.
Okay.
But you said you don't want to go to Chick-fil-A. We don't have time for that. Man, I gotta say, other than hitting another fast food place when literally nobody else is there, Chick-fil-A usually has a bit of a line because there's a lot of it. But like, I don't know, pound for pound, Chick-fil-A is about 100 times faster than every single fast food restaurant in the South. Fast food is a lowercase f. It is not uppercase f. Fast is not a descriptor. It's not a descriptor of the time it takes to get you your food. It is a description of the food. So like fast food, like drive-thrus and whatever are not fast at all anywhere, or going in is not quick. By far the most efficient restaurant is Chick-fil-A, other than the fact that there might be a line.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, the problem we had was Chick-fil-A wasn't on the way.
There it is.
Quick to get through,
we don't have time for that. We have to get to it and get out.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Heard.
Which is very unfortunate. I am trying to figure out how to bring up his picture. Give me just a second. We're waiting for Paul to come. And again, I'm very confused. I mean, again, if you're late or you can't make it, that's fine. But the late VBS, I'm really getting confused by it. So
at this point, I have questions, and they need to
yes. What if he comes in at like 11:45? We're gonna be like, whoa, what,
Yeah, what kind of VBS, my friend, is happening?
Right. Now again, if he got home and he talked to his wife, that's fine. But man,
are we doing we're doing a lesson on when Jesus was up all night and all the disciples kept falling asleep, and he started yelling at them about how can you not stay awake for 1 hour? Is that the lesson that we're learning?
Yes, it's pretty bad. This is not the best picture. I got my wife. My wife makes fun of me because I take pictures of her when she's not looking.
Yeah.
And so she takes a picture of me. Here's the embarrassing part. Okay, had an injury. Everything's fine, but I'm not walking around as well. I get tired out pretty easily. So we start walking into the Ohio State Fair. There's a lot of walking there. And, we're like, what are we going to do? And my wife's like, I'm trying to hold the hands of our kids. I can't wait on you the whole time because we didn't have a lot of time there. So what I ended up doing was we rented a scooter. Very expensive. I'll tell you offline how much it is. It's very awfully expensive. So you see me, she didn't take the best picture of me for various reasons, but you see how I'm driving a scooter here. How about that?
Well, what did you think? How did you feel about it? Like, don't take the cost off the table. Don't talk about
embarrassed about
you feel like the value of it was that, but how was the experience of driving the scooter? Now, I know it's not one of those fast ones. We're talking about
probably 5 miles an hour at the most.
Yeah. Like the kind of scooter that they have at the grocery store for people who are shopping, right?
Yeah,
we're not doing motocross with this thing.
Well, and I was going really slow to start, but then I turned it up a little bit more, and I was like going past my wife and our kids. I don't know. It felt really weird. I could walk. I mean, it wasn't like I was unwalkable or anything. It just felt weird kind of going around people, because there's people walking around the fair. You got your scooter, you're zooming around a little bit. Sometimes you felt like you were behind people, but sometimes you felt like you had to go around them. It felt a little different.
Did you have a horn?
What's that?
Did it have a horn? Did you have a little beep beep?
Yeah, but I kind of felt that was a little obnoxious, beep beep, out of the way.
Did you feel like people were doing an adequate job of seeing you coming, like if they are walking the other direction and getting out of the way?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, people were just zooming all over the place. They were nice though. Here's what was rough, and this is going to sound terrible. I'm not making fun of my wife with this. My daughter, there's like a little train where you can hop on there and go around the fair. She loves that's part of her thing. She was excited about. Well, I couldn't go on there with the scooter.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll meet you in the back. And she heads out. So I had to kind of take the scooter all the way across the fair and back. So I got to check out the food cafe I was telling you about. There was a free concert I popped in at the end of and everything. People were nice though. I mean, they had to open the door for me when I drove in. They were pretty cool about that. I enjoyed that part of it. Ohioans are pretty nice folk. I mean, no one gave me stink eyes. There was a lady a little older than me. She was like, "Wow, you drive really good," because I kind of drove through the front entrance. I'm like, "Hey," and it's the first time I ever drove a scooter, so it wasn't bad. You kind of feel like you're in a different world, and you kind of feel a little awkward because I could walk. It just was there was so much space to get through. Like I had to do a scooter, or we would still be there. Again, the cost was really high, but they gave it to you all day. I mean, we left the fair at 2 so we can get back to work. But you could drive around to the fair closed at 11. How about that, Joe?
Well, that starts to make the how much you paid for it more worth it. when you can actually use it for the entire day.
I should have just zoomed around. I mean, I would have gone slow. I could have done work on my laptop. You know, heck, we're on the laptop now. I could podcast while I was zooming around tonight.
There you go.
How unfortunate was
live
that?
from the Ohio State Fair.
Yes, live from the Ohio State Fair. It's like banging into people as they try to podcast. It was strange, and again, this is stunning that Paul is still at the VBS after party. I'm thinking about that as I'm talking about this, going, how long can we make this a little bit longer for Paul's sake? This was odd. Some new additions to Ohio State Fair. They had a real nice carousel. I wanted to ask Paul about that because they made a big deal. Like the governor's wife helped put together, and it was kind of cool. So we're trying to stretch out for Paul's sake here. But there's like a new, the cafeteria was new with the Ohio exhibits and everything. So they're putting some more money into it. $13 admission. Is that high in your opinion? For adults?
I think at this point I feel like that's on par with other state fairs.
Well, here was the stunner. I work for a national desk now at work. So my manager's from Syracuse, New York. He was nice enough to say, yeah, take off for a little bit, come back. And he was quizzing me about the Ohio State Fair. He tells me New York State Fair. He lives in Syracuse, New York. $8. I'm like, whoa. And he was asking me about concerts. I'm like, yeah, there's concerts, but they charge money for each of the concerts.
Right.
And, you know, we've been over this in the past. Like Weird Al's going to be performing later. $40, which isn't bad for Weird Al, but you're paying regular concert ticket prices. Here's what he's telling me. 2 stages. They have anywhere from 2 to 4 concerts a day. Again, nostalgic acts, 90s rock acts. I mean, we're not bringing like Taylor Swift doesn't play New York State Fair, but all the concerts are free. I'm like, dang, $8 to get in, free concerts, like Third Eye Blind, stuff like that. But those are the kind of acts you see at the Ohio State Fair. We're not getting like, major acts. We get nostalgic. I'm like, man, New York Fair has got going on. What do you guys get to Mississippi State Fair? You get pretty big names?
No.
Is that all nostalgia? Dude, I'm into nostalgia.
Yeah, I think that's probably how you describe it. Yeah.
Okay. I
feel like in our area, in our region, the state fair may largely be the same for several states around, and it's the same stuff goes from one place to the next. So like our state fair, and then there's a week while they transition and do the state fair at Alabama or whatever the week after that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's largely the same crew and booths and all of that stuff. So our state fair is largely one big alleyway. What's it called? Not boardwalk, but something like that. It's largely one row, and there's a skyway that goes from one end to the other, so you can ride that thing over. But it's all largely just that one row. And so it's by the fairgrounds. So there's, livestock competitions and whatever else. There's a couple other things that happen every single year. But I think there's usually some sort of small, like one ring circus, so like there's some regular circus acts. I feel like there's a motorcycle trick thing that happens every year with like riding in the big metal ball, that kind of stuff. And there's concerts, but I don't know. I usually go down for the evening stuff. If I go one time, and it'll be like during the late morning, early afternoon. I'll go down for a lunchtime, and we'll take the kids and we'll go do some stuff. But otherwise, try to stay away from it because it's usually pretty crowded and you have to pay for parking.
Well,
if you go earlier in the day, you don't have to pay for parking.
Cool. $10 to park, dude. We got there at like 11 a.m.
Yep. No thanks.
Oh, and here's the problem. And again, my wife's like, hey, it's for the kids. $13 times 4, $52 to walk in the door, $10 to park. So by the time we walk in,
you haven't eaten yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were thinking about getting a dessert, but one ride that they went on took a long time. So we didn't get anything. But man, yeah, everything expensive. I mean, for a lot of people, probably $100 plus. Today was senior day, so I guess if you're over 60, again for free. But I'm not that old yet. Give me about 10 more years now.
Close. You're getting there.
I'll cross that bridge. Yeah,
you're on the way. I bet you nobody would have even carded you with your little scooter.
Oh yeah. Oh,
you're out here rascaling around. I bet you nobody would have even.
I think my wife's kind of disagreeing about this. I told her, I said, I don't think I look 50, and she said, yeah, you do. I know. I'm young. My wife looks young. She's almost 50, and she doesn't look 50. She looks a lot younger. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to suck up to her. She just looks a lot younger. Getting a little worried about Paul here. I mean, he talked about your raids, and I think we got a raid going on. I don't know. It's tough. We'll put the carousel thing on hold. Nice carousel. Paul might have a comment about that, so let's put the hold till he comes in. But hang on a second. Let me pull up my notes. I always close a lot of tabs and close the notes I have for tonight. Okay, I found them. We're in good shape. So, you know what? A couple of things we should talk to Paul about. But let's talk a little WNBA. We got to talk about something before Paul comes. The Cleveland has a new WNBA team, and I think it starts in 2028. But they named it today, the Cleveland Sirens. What do you think?
Cleveland Sirens.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I was stunned. They had and again, every time I play social media, I get YouTube say, "Hey, you can't do that," so we can't play it. But if you go to the WNBA Twitter feed, they have a video a couple days ago premiering it, and they have a big cool siren. They had the Lake Erie in the background. You're like, "Whoa, this is kind of like a Lake Erie siren. It's really cool and everything." Guess what they're making it from? It's not from the nice loud sirens. It's a nod to the Odyssey.
Right.
The sirens that were seducing the men that
that draw sailors into the rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, and my wife's like, it doesn't offend her, but she finds a little. She didn't use sexist, but it was kind of it felt a little bit that way. I don't know.
It's a little ominous. It's a tough ask to cheer for.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just think through the things that are in the Odyssey, the Cyclops or the witch that turns people into animals, like you don't feel like you want to root for those people. So why would you choose that for? I don't know. Is there something specific to Cleveland that would make sirens sort of make sense? It feels. It makes me wonder, Cleveland Sirens. I was trying to think of. Sometimes, it doesn't always have to be the city that you're in. Sometimes it's the state. Sometimes it's a regional reference or whatever. And I thought about Lake Erie. The Erie Sirens would be pretty ominous.
I would love
But then other sports teams go the completely opposite direction and choose something that's harmless and almost silly, like a pelican. Like, what are you thinking of that for your team? That's so weird.
I would say don't even look at Greek mythology. Just have sirens, like think of there's a lot of like 911.
So now they're just loud, annoying sirens that go off, like a tornado siren.
Oh yeah, well that's a whole lot better than the social media video where you're like, oh, the boat goes by and here's the sirens, or you're gonna put uniforms on there like whoa, like singing and everyone freaks out or something. Like I don't know. Are they going to get Caitlin Clark to come in and they're like, oh, we got you, Caitlin Clark? I mean, come on, what's going on here? And how would that be? I mean, free agency is a bigger deal than the WNBA. Or you're gonna be like, whoa, I want to be a siren. I want to be like one of those Greek Odyssey people. I don't think girls are gonna be doing that, right?
Maybe.
Well, the Odyssey is a pretty popular movie. I mean, is that part of it?
Sure.
Are WNBA players going to go in the movie?
It's interesting because there's a lot of the other teams in the WNBA are the names for the teams are sometimes more abstract ideas.
Yeah.
Rather than something concrete, even like a siren. I mean, we're talking about the dream, the fever, the sky, liberty. These are not concrete items. And so I think it's in that sense, just because the way the teams name themselves across the league, it feels a little out of character for what the rest of the league's team names usually are.
Or maybe the Sirens are innovative. They're like, look at us.
I don't know, maybe.
We're an actual thing. We're not like an idea. I always thought it was weird. Los Angeles Sparks. What does that mean?
The what?
The Sparks.
Los Angeles Sparks?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are they flashy?
We got Storm, Fire, Mercury, the Lynx, which is an actual animal. Well, I guess if you want to go with Sirens, you have the Golden State Valkyries. So that's something.
Okay.
Toronto Tempo, Connecticut Sun, Washington Mystics, Seattle Storm.
I thought the worst name,
Wings, Dallas Wings.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. Like a year ago, they used to be the worst team in the league, and now I was watching something. They're like the best team in the league now. Like they're the dynasty. It's so weird. Well, they got Paige Beckers, but I don't know. The worst NBA name, I know we're talking WNBA, it triggered my brain when you mentioned Washington. Mm-hmm. Remember how the Washington used to be called the Bullets?
Yeah.
And the owner was like, oh, we're talking about the Bullets that go around to Washington. I'm like, what? Why? I mean, that's like saying the Cleveland, lake that catches fires or whatever. Or
that would be
Chicago
river.
Big
Thank
fire.
you, sir.
Oh, the river. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I actually work up there.
Well, isn't the MLS, the Major League Soccer team for Chicago, the Chicago Fire?
I was thinking, I thought it was actually the women's team, but you're right. It's the Chicago Sky.
Portland are the Portland Fire for the WNBA, but I think it's the soccer team. It's the Chicago Fire. Because the MLS teams names, for a long time, I always thought that they were the coolest. Because you got Chicago Fire, Columbus Crew, I actually think is a pretty cool name.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of just football club and whatever. LA Galaxy, I think, is a cool name.
Yeah.
Seattle, I think, is a really cool name. So, like, for a while there, I just felt like Colorado Rapids, I think, is a really cool name.
I'm with you. They have good names. I kind of miss the FC. You know what I mean? Can we call like all these teams like FC Columbus or something?
Well, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that do that.
Yeah.
Well, even the Chicago Fire is Chicago Fire FC, Charlotte FC.
Okay.
Nashville SC. New York City has an FC. They're just whatever. And then there's some where it's FC Dallas. So like the FC is the beginning. FC Cincinnati.
I wonder if we're eventually going to hear from like opponents of the Chicago Fire name, like descendants of people who died in the Chicago Fire. They're like, "Oh, how dare you! You're ridiculing our name." Okay,
maybe I feel like that's probably a little bit different than, some of the more insensitive,
that's true.
Pejoratives. Yeah.
Okay. But if they want to change your name, that's fine. But yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. On kind of a more of an infuriating note, I wanted to bring this up. I wrote something about this for my full-time gig today. Clay Travis, one of the quirky, I don't know, MAGA people, whatever. The MAGA seems to really get on the WNBA just to get on the WNBA. How dare a woman have their own professional league? What's going on? So they're taking shots, and part of it over the past week is Sophie Cunningham, a guard for the Indiana Fever. A reporter just asked her, "Hey, what do you think about if transgenders would ever play in the WNBA?" And she says, "Oh, that's weird. That's probably not great." That's all she said. There was no political comments either way. And now she's at a firestorm. There's people that are protesting her. MAGA people are like, "Whoa, Sophie Cunningham is really cool now," which is really just annoying to say the least. But Clay Travis, he's part of Outkick. It's kind of like MAGA's version of a sports page. He's putting up $10 million. He wants the Las Vegas Aces, who had been the premier team in the WNBA, to play a high school basketball team. And he says, "Hey, if the Aces win the game, I'll pay you $10 million. And I read somewhere saying that the Aces typically make in team revenue $33 million a year. So it could be money. There's some other talk that maybe the money will get, sent to charity. But it kind of sets the Aces up in a weird mode where, yeah, I mean, you're like, why are you bothering us? I don't want to respond. Or if they don't say anything, are they saying, "Oh, we can't beat a boys team?" Or I don't know. It's like awkward, but I can't believe Las Vegas would schedule a game against a high school boys team. Clay Travis needs to go away. I mean, I'm a little annoyed at this whole situation. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's shades of the kinds of things that people have been doing in the Battle of the Sexes since the 70s. Like, it goes way back to, what was it, Billie Jean King playing against someone?
Bobby Riggs, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, we were trying to prove some kind of point, and I'm not sure that any WNBA team should really dignify this response.
Yeah, because what do? Do you just shut them out? Like, yeah, we'll take you on, and and how bad is it gonna look? Like the girls are pushing over the guys and stuff. It's so weird.
Well, not to mention that they're two completely different styles of play.
Yeah,
for the most part, unless you watch all of the clips of the way that people have been beating up on Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. I get these videos all the time of it's usually the same 5 clips, but yes. But it seems to be pretty violent. But I feel like for the most part, the game tends to be much more of a finesse game, and the women tend to shoot from a little bit further out than the men often do. So I just don't know if it depends on who's going to ref it and what style we're going to promote, the style of play.
Yeah, what Clay Travis picked the refs? Yeah,
right. If the young men are playing a rougher style, then it's going to be difficult. But
and what he doesn't understand is these are professional athletes. Professional athletes are good. And if you're like, "Oh, they're women," then you're sexist. But these are professional athletes they're facing. Now, I will say, Joe, we've been to some high schools where, like, the high school boys team might be horrible, but the girls team could be good. I think in that, the girls will probably beat the boys if they played against each other. But again, you're looking at apples and oranges. You're looking at a high school boys team against a professional team. And a professional team is like the champs of the WNBA. It's not like, "Oh, it's this team, they can't win ever a game." I don't know, it's rough. Have you ever seen the arguments where they say, what happens if, like, the worst the worst NFL team will play the college champions? I mean, NFL probably win that game, right?
Yeah, because a lot of times we're talking about people who are at a different level of physical capability. They've been training themselves harder than they did when they were in college. You also have to take into account, and this is a difficulty that people have all the time when they're trying to evaluate talent. even in college football or whatever, who you're playing completely colors how you look on the field. You know, so it's like a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's so weird
when you're put into a different situation. So, like you're saying, when you have this girls' team that dominates their league, does that mean they can automatically beat the boys' team that struggles to get a win? No, they're playing other girls. And the boys are playing other boys who, for whatever reason, may have things pulled together a little bit more. They might have better coaching. It may not be the inherent skill that they have. And it also may be that they're more adept at playing without the kind of rules that dominate in playing an organized sport, as opposed to what they're capable of doing on a playground.
It's like, what's your motive, Clay Travis? You know, if it was a
I think it's pretty clear what his motive is.
Yeah. Well, if it was like a good-natured, you know, who throws it further, Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen? You're like, whoa, I don't know. You know, okay, that's fun. But if you're, you know, yelling about women's sports and then you're like doing that, it's like, yeah, I think the Aces should just leave him alone. You know,
do not dignify.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a cooler response. You know, what are they going to do? But it'll be interesting. I think the Aces played tonight when we're taping this. I'll tell you, I hate saying this, but as a trending reporter, if I'm covering the Aces, sorry, the first question I'm asking is, okay, what's your response to Clay Travis? And, you know, the Aces should punch me for asking that, but, you know, that's the question media should ask, right?
They should not dignify your question with a response.
Right,
now, maybe your job, maybe we can all say your job is to ask that question, but it should also be their burden to not respond to your question.
Oh, no, that's true. I mean, yeah, as a media person, they need to ask that, but yeah, if I'm the Aces, I'd be like, shut up, you know, leave us alone with your stupid questions. But I don't know. I just messaged Paul. We got to hear what's going on. I'm curious. Hopefully he's okay. But this could be a great story. I mean, you never know. All right, let me.
His late night VBS.
Yeah, late night VBS thing. I thought this was kind of a cool story. Illinois, there's a teen. Sadly, his grandma died, so he bought the old items of his grandma. Well, I think it was they were asking, "Hey, can you sell this?" And he's grieving. He's like, "I don't want to sell it." So he gets a shed. He puts grandma's old items in, and they make kind of what grandma's house should look at like. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. What did you think?
I did not get a chance to look at that.
Let me see if I can pull up the TikTok. Yeah, it was interesting. You know, we all mourn the death of a loved one in different ways.
Right.
I looked at his TikTok. It's funny. He's 17. He's a big nostalgic dude.
Right.
But he bought the old items, and he made, you know, something. He just made a place you could walk around where, you know, what grandma's table used to look like and other stuff.
Right.
I probably can't play the video on YouTube since we're going to do that, but we can share the link to it. But yeah, if you look at the TikTok, I think I embedded it in the story. Yeah, you kind of takes you on a little tour around the house. I don't know, and we all grieve differently. I don't want to speak ill of how this guy's grieving. For me, like my dad died, I've got a bag of some of his personal effects. The thing I wish I had more was tapes of him speaking because you know he died about 10 years ago, and you know we didn't have the video cameras on our phones as much as we did back then and everything. I wish I had more of that. That's what would valued a lot more. But you know, whatever your loved one is, we're all going to grieve a different way and think of something away. And if this is a place you can kind of hang out, have memories of what things used to be like, good for the kid. I think it's a good idea. Hey, how do you?
So it's the place is behind his house.
I think so. Yeah. And I don't know if he bought the shed or if the shed was already there. But the question that was posed to him was, grandma died. You're trying to figure out what to do with her effects. And sometimes people sell them. He just couldn't come to grips with selling the items. So he put them in the shed, but he made it like it was like Nana cave or something, to respect his grandma. But it's set up like her house. Now, again, I don't think it's a perfect image of it, but it's just looking at, hey, what does the house look like and everything. And again, I'm not into collecting my loved ones' personal effects, but hey, if that's how you grieve, that's great. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, how would you do it? Like, you've lost some loved ones over the years. Do you like keeping their things? Do you kind of remember them through like
I
video?
have a lot of things from family, so
really, okay.
I mean, I'd be the right person to ask about that. I just have a lot. Some of it family heirloom type stuff that's like, oh, this is the weirdest thing is multiple wash stands. So in the days before you had indoor plumbing, you had a furniture item that was the height and the size of like a vanity, so that you would put a washing bowl on that stand. Well, I have two of them, but I also have running water indoors, so I don't really need two of these things, and I just don't know where to get rid of something like that. I don't want to just put them on the curb. That's weird. Yeah, but there are certain things that I keep, but there's smaller items, kind of like you were talking about, just having these smaller items around. I have a thing that's right by my sink that says Wanda's Kitchen. That's my mom's name. And it was in her kitchen, and it was by like a window that was in her kitchen. So our kitchen window actually goes to an addition to the house. It's actually right up there. So this is the addition that I'm in right now. I can see it from where I'm sitting, but it's a good. I like that reminder of going to my sink and be working in the kitchen and have that thing and reminds me of my mom.
Cool.
I'm nostalgic that way. I kind of like that kind of thing. I like that more than just getting some new knick-knack that's just meaningless and is there. But yeah.
Well, I've got some stuff. I actually have great lighting tonight, so I hate to move my computer around. It's going to screw everything up.
Absolutely.
I have drawers from my dad, like where I put my socks and underwear and shorts and other stuff in. Right. I bought a baseball card case that he had a 1959 card collection. So I've got some 1959 cards I picked up for cheap. His favorite player is Rocky Calavito. I found a card of that for cheap. And then, but it's other stuff that's kind of special to me, like ball players I've interviewed. I have cards of them up there and everything, which is good. But yeah, the 1959 cards, I got that, kind of a tribute to my dad. It was meant to me because Dad used to tell me about having that set. He had the whole set. He cut off the bottom of it, and it took a set that was probably worth tons of money and made him really cheap. But because of that memory I had of him, and because he shared that story with me a billion times, hey, that's why I got those cards. It helps remember them, which is good. It was funny. The other week, I was talking to Chris Bando, Indians catcher in the 80s. Rocky Calavito was his favorite player growing up. So we were kind of swapping stories of what that was like. So, and again, those are great memories. Those are fantastic. So, yeah, whatever you need to do, is it, those type of memories? Is it, collecting some stuff like you have? Hey, however you can keep that family alive and the memories fresh in your mind, go for it. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah,
fantastic. So yeah, I mean, usually we take these stories and make fun of the people, but I'm excited about this kid and everything. I didn't put this on our list, but I was telling my wife, she appeared on the podcast the other day. I'm not sure. She just came down and she was just starting to talk a little bit. But I was telling her about the trash guy. And this was like 2 weeks ago, where the guy who collects trash from New York, she was stunned by that. like we all are.
Making, putting it all the trash into a display case and selling New York City garbage.
Yeah, he got the news. I mean, he hit the news because of the Taylor Swift Kelsey wedding. They're selling trash from that. But we looked on the website, and this is like a daily thing. This wasn't just a, hey, let's do it for this big day. I mean, it was just so nuts. It was so crazy.
Going project that he's doing.
Well, I think we need to keep going because we may not make it the whole time. Again, this Paul thing is just getting crazy. This might be the whole show next week if he doesn't come this week. But let's move on. This is a story that we should wait for Paul on, but I need to kind of pitch it to you, help you understand how important this idea is, and maybe I can get you to sign on for this idea. I don't know if you took a look at this story. I'm very much into looking at Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania during the year, and sometimes I was like, Joe, there's no news other than what happens on Groundhog Day. But I found some random news. Just wanted, you might say, what is this story? But I'm going to link it to our podcast really quickly. There is, I didn't realize this, Indiana University of Pennsylvania has a college campus in Punxsutawney. Isn't that cool?
Okay.
Well, there's a local story talking about there's a welcome wagon local volunteer group. So they're helping out in the community. And on August 11th, they're having a food drive. They're restocking its food pantry for students, which is great.
Okay.
You got to make sure these college kids are fed. Sometimes, college kids don't have that much money with them, or they might get distracted and not eat as much as they should. They have a poor, food, health or food menu and everything. So I love this. Nothing against this idea. This is great. Okay, what's Punxsutawney known for? The groundhogs. Couldn't we take old groundhogs and donate that for food for these poor kids in need?
No. No.
Why? I share the story.
Are you going to eat a groundhog?
No, but look, we're in a tough time. Food prices are going up. If you're not doing well, you might be struggling to find food. I shared the story from Chef's Resource because I was curious. Can you eat a groundhog? This story says yes, you can.
There are things that you can do,
or should you?
Yeah, maybe there's things you should not do.
But isn't there a thing like? I know in school, we watched some videos where they're talking about, hey, in 50 or 100 years, we might have food shortages. So we got to look at this food that you may not think of otherwise. Now, they said it carries potential health risk. And you have to have careful preparation because of diseases and a strong gamey flavor. How about that?
No.
But if you're careful in the way you prepare it, hey, it's food. You eat it. Now,
thanks. I'm all right.
I've been very critical of Punxsutawney Phil in the past, and I'm not looking to eat groundhogs just as a vengeful, I want to get back to these groundhogs and I'm going to eat them all. But again, if you look at, if I'm a groundhog and I'm like, look, I want to help the world around me. Okay, when it's time, when you pass on, shouldn't you be food for humans? Kind of like a circle of life a little bit. You know what I mean? That's how groundhogs.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's like a circle of life, and you know what I mean. It would be so much more because Paul thinks there's one groundhog that'll live forever. They probably go through hundreds of groundhogs a year. You know what I mean? These groundhogs don't live that long. They're dying and everything. So these groundhogs could help feed the local population of Punxsutawney. And this IUP, these students that go to IUP Punxsutawney, they're probably like, Saturday night they're starving. What do they go for? Hey, the food, the local food group can come.
Some gamey groundhog.
Well, you can't always choose.
Gross.
Well, hey,
I do know it's gross.
If you're in a tough aspect, beggars can't be choosers, man. I don't know. How far would you have to go before you start eating groundhog? I mean, is it like you have no food?
Pretty far. I'd have to go pretty far.
What was that movie about the family that no, the people who were in a wreck in the mountains?
Alive?
Oh, alive, yeah. Would you have to be in that situation where it's like, okay, groundhog or your friend by you, and you're like, all right, I guess I'll do the groundhog. Yeah, like I thought I would have you on this, but
no.
You're on this, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I need Paul's
anytime
help.
the descriptor gamey comes into play. No, thank you. I'm out.
So you were kind of in until we said gamey, right? Like if I didn't say gamey, you might have been like,
if it tasted more like chicken, maybe.
Well, everything tastes like chicken. You know what I mean?
Does it though?
I don't want to ever eat a human being.
Do you ever talk about gamey chicken?
I don't know.
No.
Chicken may be tougher to eat. Like, I'm not sure.
So you're thinking maybe if they had grilled grilled groundhog sandwich, you'd be okay with that, yeah. But not a wrap, but a sandwich.
Yes, a sandwich. Yeah, put a bun around that groundhog on, man.
Bun on that groundhog, maybe a little Big Mac sauce.
Yes.
You just go to town.
I got a tough thing, and man, if I didn't have you on this, I'm not gonna have you on this next one.
You might not have me.
Well, we agree on Punxsutawney Phil, but we have a difference of opinion when it comes to Ray Gunn, the Australian breakdancer.
We do have a difference of opinion on Ray Gunn.
Well, in a couple weeks, there's the big documentary coming out. I wanted to look it up to say, hey, is there something we could argue about? Didn't see that much other than the announcement of the doc, so we'll have to wait on that. But I did a search for Ray Gunn Netflix, and when I did the search, it came back and says, hey, what do you mean? It's either the upcoming documentary on the Olympic breakdancer, or there's another thing coming on. It's a sci-fi norm film called Ray Gunn, RAY space GUNN. From a guy named Brad Bird. So what's Netflix doing?
Brad Bird. You don't know who Brad Bird is? Brad Bird's responsible for The Iron Giant. He's responsible for The Incredibles. He's responsible for several other Pixar projects. He's a director. Yeah.
I don't know that much else about Brad Bird. I don't mean to make fun of Brad Bird. I'm just saying, what's Netflix doing? Why are we doing two Ray Guns at one time? We're going to be confused. Are they trying to circumvent Ray?
How far do you think you'll get into this sci-fi thing, and before you realize that it's not about the breakdancer?
I picked the
breakdancing Olympian.
Well, but I'm sure the searches around the world are skyrocketing for this upcoming Ray Gunn documentary.
You think so?
And when you do the search, it's like, is this the Brad Bird one or not? You're like, oh, I just don't know what to do. I'm out.
If I found out there was something else that was done by Brad Bird that wasn't about the Olympic breakdancer, I'm for sure watching the Brad Bird movie.
All right. So your question those who will say,
I am relieved that Netflix is trying to redeem the name Ray Gunn by putting out some other material by that name.
Well, Netflix does a lot. A lot of times when they do new shows on Netflix, they'll do it for a season or two, then they'll pull the plug, They seem to trample on its own stuff from time to time. So I'm thinking maybe you got in touch with Netflix. Netflix is like, oh, yes, this is right. We shouldn't have done this. So let's put out the Ray Gunn, Brad Bird movie.
I called Tom Netflix right away and said, Tom, Nettie, what are you doing to me here, bub? And
it's like, all right,
we gotta put the kibosh on this thing.
Well, and Netflix signs up for so many shows. They're like, oh, there's got to be another Ray Gun out there somewhere. And they're like, oh yeah, we have that Brad Bird project. Let's put that out at the same time.
Perfect.
So I'm very disappointed. Netflix
I'm
does do
sorry.
Netflix does do some interesting documentaries. My beef on Netflix is they do a little too many on documentaries. I saw one the other day about the Portland Trailblazers when they had Rasheed Wallace. I'm like, is this a documentary? I mean, it was interesting, but I'm like, this isn't that big of a deal. And I know since you're not a Ray Gun fan, you're probably thinking the same thing. Is Netflix doing too many documentaries? It's like, calm down, Netflix.
I don't know. I don't mind them, especially since you burn through them pretty quick, and then it's like, well, I want another. I need another documentary, and they're happy to oblige, and they'll say, "Hey, here's some more."
Okay. So, and you might watch the Ray Gun, but you might hate watch it, right? You're really cheering when Ray Gun gets made fun of in the documentary.
Right. That'll be my favorite part. I'll wear that part out.
When she's sobbing about. When she's sobbing.
Well, I don't want the sobbing part. I just want the part where other people say things that are obviously true about what was kind of.
You're pumping your fist. You're like, take that Ray Gun. Yes. You can't break dance.
I don't want it to hurt her feelings, but I don't think she recognizes how much she hurt my feelings by dancing so oddly.
Okay. Wanted to ask about this. This is a little awkward, but I gotta bring it up. Randy Travis. I think this was from People. They do these pop culture interviews where they talk to people. They talked to his wife, and she's like, "Look, he recovered. About 10 years ago, they said it's not going to work, and they were like, you should pull the plug." And I was thinking about that with our wives. Do we need to start telling our wives when to pull the plug and when not to?
Is he incapable of expressing this to his spouse at this point?
Well, apparently he was younger at the time. He just had a health scare, and she said she went in. He actually showed some signs of life. So she's like, no, he's going to fight it through, and everything will be fine. And everything turned out great, which is a wonderful story. But I'm kind of thinking, man, should we start having these conversations with our wife to make sure they don't say, let's pull the plug on you, buddy?
Well, that's just having a living will, right?
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, it was.
That's the thing. If you're concerned about what it is that she's going to do, there's steps you can take.
Yes.
There.
Yes. Well, I'm not concerned about what you could do. It's weird. Like, life happens quick. When I was injured, I had a UTI for 5 days. I was literally out of it, and I didn't know anything. I was having these weird dreams. I wasn't awake at all and everything. My wife, she had the living, medical decision. So she said, "Hey, do the surgery." That's when they pulled a tube in me. But when they put the tube in me, I came back, and I remember waking up from that surgery. She walked in nervous. She's like, "I never had to make a health decision on you," and like I was out of it. So she's like, "Hopefully you're okay." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm awake. I'm alive. Thank you." It's weird. I mean, like, I didn't think that we were old enough to start having these conversations. And you're right, you can have a living will, but in her state, like, I don't think I was going to die from the UTI, but literally for 5 days I was out of it. And people are like, "What's wrong with this guy?" and everything. So I don't think I would have died from it, but man, I know it was weird. Like, I never felt like my wife and I had to have that discussion before, but it was strange. And thankfully, she wants me to be alive, and I'm sure your wife does that, and Randy Travis' wife does that too. But man, if you haven't had that conversation with your spouse, go for it. It's good to do. I know. I thought that was strange, and again, it seems morbid. I mean, my wife doesn't want to knock me off or anything, but it was weird. I didn't realize that we had to have that talk, but no, it was pretty good. Let me ask you. Well, let's get to this. You shared with me a podcast where these guys were talking about 1890s Cleveland Spiders players. And holy crap, these guys had different names. I'm assuming these are all nicknames. But did you listen to the video? But let me read some of these names off to you. Their star second baseman at the time was Cupid Childs. This guy's
Mhm.
first name was Clarence, like Cupid stuck. I don't
I
know.
guess.
Could you call a player Cupid these days? Like I'm not sure if any major league player would want to nickname Cupid, right?
Well, I mean, people get all kinds of weird nicknames. I'm curious as to how he got it.
Yeah. I just say the AI version and just said Cupid stuck. So I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Like, was he a romantic fella? Was he dating a lot of women? I don't know. This sounds weird. This would never work,
Mm-hmm.
I think, in 2020 baseball. But there were brothers, the Thibault brothers. One name was Patsy, which is kind of a strange name for a guy player. He was a fiery player manager. So sometimes you think of Patsy as like a more non-fiery person, but Patsy was fiery. The other guy's name was Pussy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess some people would get that nickname, but I don't think that would go on broadcast TV these days, right? Like,
Yeah, I think probably they wouldn't announce that for very long. But
yes,
yeah, I mean, the idea is that it would be almost like Pussycat
yes.
was probably the reference in the 1890s.
Right. Yeah, AI says the nickname was common, and as you said, not considered offensive in the 1890s.
Mm-hmm.
We have Pretzels Getzlin, which is great. I wish my nickname was Pretzels. How about you? I like Pretzels.
I feel like at this point, the only way you could get a name like Pretzels is going to be either if you are particularly bendy, or if you just eat a lot of pretzels.
Yes, that's true.
Right.
I would be eating a lot of pretzels, but I like that. I wouldn't want pussy as a name, but pretzels would be great.
Yeah. Comparatively, I will take pretzels all day long.
Yes. Even in the 1890s, I would take pretzels.
Even in the 1890s. Yeah.
Chief Zimmer.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a cool name. He was a Hall of Fame caliber catcher.
Wouldn't be surprised if it was just, like calling somebody boss.
Yeah. No, I think that's cool. Sport McAllister. I think this is one of the all-time great names. I guess if you're an athlete,
Sports McAllister.
Well, singular sport from what it says here. Like sport.
Right. Sport. Yeah.
Isn't that what grandparents call their grandkids? Hey, sport.
Yeah, isn't that from The Great Gatsby? Doesn't he call people old sport?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it would have been something more common back in that day. Just something that you call somebody. You just, hey, sport.
Chippy McGard, that's interesting. But I think of Chipper Jones.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of neat. I like this. Icebox Chamberlain. He had calm demeanor under pressure. Hey, Icebox.
And he was a pitcher, so that would be an interesting moniker for somebody who was a pitcher, for being particularly calm under pressure. That's nice.
Very nice. Kid Carsey, left-handed pitcher. Yeah, I like that kid. Crazy Schmidt. That's kind of cool. One of baseball's most infamous nicknames. I'm not sure why it was infamous.
I don't know, but crazy is.
Yeah,
that's bold.
Lob Cross, kind of a cool name. His unusual first name was short for Lafayette, so don't call me Lafayette. Call me Lob. Lob's kind of a cool name. Yeah, hey, I'm Lob.
Kind of is Lob.
Nig Cuppy. The name was commonly used at that time. You could be.
Mm-hmm.
It could go a wrong way now, but hey.
Arguably, it was going the wrong way back then.
Probably. Jack O'Connor, catcher.
Normal name.
Jesse Burkett. Yeah, I'm not sure why these are odd names. Cy Young. We know this guy, Hall of Fame pitcher. Cyclone was where his name came from, which I thought was kind of cool.
Really? So he was called Cyclone as a nickname, and then they just called him Cy. Okay.
Yeah. Louis Sockalexis. Remember, he was the guy that they kind of brought, they claimed that the Indians came from his name. Some people did, which is interesting. They also had Chief Sockalexis. And yeah, that's it. That's the names I got. So very cool. Let's see what else.
That's some wacky names.
Yeah, I love it. Anything you want to say about the disappearing anus? You guys are sharing that. There's a jellyfish with a disappearing anus.
Yeah.
What's all with that?
It was. This is an animal that was trolling through the waters in Venice, Italy, and it is some type of squid or octopus, something like that. But that is one of the features on this animal, is that it did not have the the anus would disappear. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what that means, but it just felt like that was a conversation that should be had in this environment.
Permanent disappearance or just for a while?
I really can't tell you. The animal is called a Nemiopsis.
Okay.
Lydie. Nemiopsis lydie. Also known as the warty comb jelly or the sea walnut. It's an invasive species that spread rapidly in some areas, causing concern by competing with native marine life, consuming fish larvae and plankton, and creating problems for fishermen and clogging nets. But what makes this creature even stranger is its unusual biology. The sea walnut has a temporary anus that appears only during waste elimination and then disappears again. An adaptation that has fascinated scientists. Yeah. It has a temporary anus, which sounds like the name of a band.
Yes. Kind of a cool melody.
Ladies and gentlemen, temporary anus.
It's got to be a metal band, right?
Right. Yeah, very much so. It may be one of those metal bands where they all wear costumes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it could be what was the Conan during Late Night of Conan O'Brien, there was a funny sketch he had where Slipknot was like the famous metal band of the time, and then they had some of his comedy writers form a group called Slipnuts, where they would just slip on nuts and they would sing it like a barbershop quartet. And they had all these sketches where they literally had Slipknot ask them to open for them on a concert. So they come out and the fans didn't know who they were, so they got booed and yelled off the stage and everything. So like temporary anus should be like, you would think this is like a death metal or heavy metal band,
right?
What if it was like a barbershop quartet? Hey, we're temporary anus, and they come out and sing their feel good songs or
Ladies
whatever.
And gentlemen, temporary anus.
Yeah,
and they do like the pitch pipe.
We can't poop or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking too.
Until we form our temporary anus.
Well, here's the hard thing. I don't think any of us enjoy having butts, but obviously butts are good for waste, right? Because sometimes I'll be like, man, if you lose if you have temporary anus, okay, it's great.
I'm curious what temporary means. Like, how doesn't it all have to be connected to wherever the waste is being eliminated? I'm trying to think of the right terminology. Like, how can it be what?
Yeah, does it like crawl into itself where it's not there anymore or something? Like, I don't know.
Maybe it's like a sack that collects the waste, and so it sort of just opens temporarily and eliminates from that sack. And like, I think we're talking about a sea walnut here. We're not talking
Right.
about
but
something
really,
with advanced
right.
physiognomy.
But wouldn't that be cool? Like if you had a temporary anus where it would just come out.
I
When you
had a
had
temporary.
Yeah.
This is one of those. This is a
What?
dinner conversation card.
Yes.
People, what if you had a temporary anus?
Yes, yes. First date card, before you say, "Hey, what do you do?" It's more like, "Yeah,
Well, I mean, I've enjoyed this date so far, but I do have to ask you now. What if you had a temporary anus?
Well, it's got to be your first question.
First question.
Right.
I don't even want to know what you want as an appetizer. What I want to know is, what if you had a temporary anus? I don't want to know about your religion. I don't want to know about your hobbies. I don't even want to know about your job or your family. I don't care where you live. I want to know your opinion on what you would do if you had a temporary anus.
And you follow up with, "It better be a good answer or we're done." This is how I know if this is going to go any further or not.
If this goes badly, we're done.
Yes.
I am leaving and I'm sticking you with the check.
I better agree with what you have to say about the temporary anus or we're out of here. This is interesting. Paul, I saw your guys' discussion. I don't know if you brought this up or Paul brought this up, but there was like a biblical, it was called a biblical, like, horny ant invasion. And I don't know, I thought that was interesting. I think you brought it up, and I think Paul asked, why is it biblical or something? You know what I mean?
Right. Why are you bringing the Bible into this?
Yes. Well, I didn't. I just saw the story on Instagram. I didn't even look it up or anything. I think maybe why it's biblical. I'm just making this up because, heck, this is what this show is. If you haven't got it already, they were. Oh, speaking of that, I got to bring up something else that I forgot to mention earlier. But if it's biblical, okay, a lot of pastors are going to preach against, hey, wait till you're married until you have sex or whatever else like that. Well, if you say horny ants, then the pastor could get up and say, hey, don't be like those horny ants out there. You know what I mean? Now, if they bring this up and you're not aware of this story, what if somebody out there thought that instead of horny ants, like insects, they're like, are my ants horny? Like, my, your family ants, you know what I mean? AUNTS. That could be kind of confusing, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Sorry, it didn't hit that well. It's my comedy sucks whenever, but the 11:30 is really bad. But yeah, no, I don't know.
I don't think the Bible has mentioned this. I think they're just talking about the swarm of things. So it's not we're not talking about that in the biblical sense. I think they are being described as horny is that the reason that these flying ants travel at this time of the year is that they are mating. But the problem that's coming up and why this made the news was that the swarm of flying ants is so thick that radar reads it as if it's heavy rain.
Oh.
So this is in the UK that their weather radar has been off because it's a swarm of flying ants that are mating, not rain.
That's not a good.
No, it's not great, but it's also not horrendously uncommon. I guess it's just making the news mostly because the weather is getting disrupted. The weather reports.
It's not a good advertisement for living in the UK. You know what I mean? Hey, come to UK. Look, it's the horny ants. You know what I mean?
Listen, of all the things that we could be talking about, we're talking about the nuptial flight of flying ants. Okay. When we talk about reasons to not live in the U.S., we're talking about
certain presidents there.
There's a lot of things there, but we're talking about processed food and the high diabetes rates and overweight people
and
murder rates and healthcare and
health workers who don't know what they're doing and other stuff like that.
I think the trade-off, I might trade off all of those problems for just occasional horny flying ants.
Are these occasional? How often?
I think it may be an annual thing because it was talking about it's the weather, it's the temperature that triggers this flight of these ants.
Let me mention this before I forget. Speaking of made up stuff, one of the most fun I had on our podcast was we kind of went through the news stories of Bishop Sycamore. I remember that was that kind of made up high school team that was on ESPN. I stumbled across it, and I think it's been on Netflix for a long time, so I'm late to the party. They had a BS High kind of a doc on the Bishop Sycamore team on Netflix. It was fun. The coach, he admitted that he made up some stuff, but he kept getting back to the point of, hey, some of these kids are homeless. I don't know how else to help them. So, and they're like, well, would you do it again? He's like, yeah, I would do it again because that's the only way to help the kids. Now, the bad thing was, he didn't pay any bills or anything else like that. But it's kind of fun. I mean, the coach kind of had a self-deprecating attitude and everything. And it was a little bit of a fun documentary. So check out if you get
It's probably going to be more entertaining than the documentary about ray gun.
Oh, no, stop. No, we're getting a little ridiculous.
No, stop. It's something that somebody should have said in the process of making a documentary about ray gun.
Yes, definitely.
Stop. Just stop.
I was saving this until Paul gets here, but my goodness.
It does not appear that is happening.
What was, who's the guy that ran Playboy? Hef. Apparently they've moved their after party to like Hef's Grotto or something like, I don't know what's going on here.
Wow. That's an intense VBS. I'm not sure.
Oh no, the Christian version of that. They're not. We're not doing anything bad. Just the. They're watching PG-13 movies.
I'm trying to think of the logistics of that.
What, I know. Sorry, Paul. You're not ahead. So I was just trying to be funny here.
Yeah.
But the news from the Steelers this weekend, and believe me, we'll get to breaking down the Steelers, but we're kind of waiting till closer to preseason. Yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, McAfee, I keep saying his name wrong. They were at Steelers training camp. Pat likes Aaron Rodgers. He's been on the show. Pat's from Pittsburgh, so he's got a good relationship with some of these guys. So, they had fun. They watched the practice. A lot of the players came over to talk. But when Aaron Rodgers came over, my goodness, Aaron was fired up, Joe. You sent me the article about this. I wrote something for Cleveland.com about this. Aaron was fired up, going off on Anthony Fauci, going off on a bunch of stuff. I don't know. I got a take on this, and it's probably a little biased because I'm a Steelers fan. But before I give you my take, what did you think about that?
Not thrilled, but it's also not surprising. All of the things that he said were basically consistent with things that he's said before. So nothing felt so out of the ordinary other than there are a lot of people who like to try to silence athletes by saying you just need to shut up and play, or actors, you need to shut up during your Oscar acceptance speeches, just take your award and go. I always feel kind of weird about it because there are times where I think that as a human being, they are capable of thinking thoughts that are beyond what their job is, just like any of us are. And if anything, they're in a position to see and hear more information about the kind of thing that we always form opinions on. But at the same time, I also would like for him to just play football.
Oh, I agree. But the more I think about this, and I don't agree with what Aaron Rodgers is saying, like his conspiracy theories or whatever. But, I look at it, we all have, what's great about America? We all have our opinions. We've got lots of venues to share. Like, we're sharing our crazy opinions here on this podcast. Players can share their opinions, whatever they are. And you know what? I'm not actually thinking anymore. Hey, players, athletes, podcasters, whatever, share your opinions. And if no one cares, no one cares. You know what I mean? Like so Aaron Rodgers, okay, we like him because he's the Steelers quarterback, but he says whatever he wants, and be like, all right, we don't need to agree with what he says, whatever, just throw some touchdown passes. And if he wants to go off on whatever, he does. And I don't know, like I'm trying to think that because everyone's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is causing people to, get sick during COVID. No, he just had his own opinion. And if you're listening to Aaron Rodgers, you're crazy. Or if you're listening to anybody,
he wasn't necessarily out there telling other people not to. He just said that he wasn't going to, and that's fine. Right. I did not watch the interview. I just read the articles that were about it. Did McAfee ask him something about this? Like, did he just start offering these opinions in the middle of a conversation about something else?
Well, what happens is the show is live on ESPN from 12 to 2.
Right.
After that, it goes on, like, I think it's on ESPN Plus or whatever. But oftentimes, like, after that, Pat swears more, and, from 2 on, it's more unfiltered. Mm-hmm. So Aaron came on at 1:52. He knew that was live on ESPN. So he was like, boom, boom, boom. And, yeah, he was after Fauci. But he made some points about, Diana Rossini. She's accused of having a relationship with the Patriots head coach. Well, Rossini used to, work for ESPN. And Rodgers has a B up his butt about ESPN. I'm not sure why. But he knew from 1:52 on, he had 8 minutes to go off on ESPN. So it's one thing for,
See, that's where I don't care for that. That's a hit job. That's just showing up and, lighting cherry bombs and throwing them in the toilet. And then what happens. I'm not a fan of that. If he's invited on a podcast or an interview or whatever else, and those kinds of questions even organically come up in conversation, I don't think I'm against that. But I don't care for the idea that he was going to show up somewhere and purposefully make waves. I don't care for that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the interesting thing. Again, I'm right in the middle of this, so I got to take a neutral position. But, the odd thing about media these days is, a lot of people have been talking, like there was layoffs at ESPN last week or two, and people were like, oh, we miss the good old days of ESPN, where it was more game analysis and everything, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But, Joe, we've gotten different. I'm not blaming you or me. I'm just saying our society as a whole. Like, right now ESPN's talking more of not just social issues, but instead of talking about, hey, this is what happened in the game last night, it's more of, hey, LeBron's a free agent. Where's he going to go? Let's talk about this for months on end. Or, Aaron Rodgers hasn't decided if he's coming back. So these guys that have become like notable players, we'll just talk about these guys for 24 hours on straight. And yeah, it's freaking annoying, but that's what people want to listen to these days. They don't want to say, hey, the Guardians lost last night. Let's break down the game. I mean, we're talking more about, goofy things that Aaron Rodgers says. So
I'm fond of joking on a regular basis, because I work in the theater and in the entertainment industry, and we talk a lot about, well, if this is what people want, then, you give them what they want. And that's how you're going to make money and that kind of thing. It's like, yes. But there are easier ways. There are not easier, but maybe more efficient or more cost-effective ways of earning money if you just sell drugs. Then, yeah. So, like, if it's just about giving people what they want or chasing the money or just trying to be the biggest splash, you could just quit doing all of this television stuff, which actually costs a lot of money to do, and y'all could just go sell drugs. You make a lot of money doing it. You'll probably eventually get arrested and or die of an overdose. These are all possibilities in that field, but you're definitely going to make a lot of money. And if you're just about the money, then that's the thing. If you're there to actually contribute to society and the conversation about sports, that would also be nice. Do that thing. And don't just always go for the lowest common denominator on anything where you're chasing the splashy, you're chasing the outrageous. And then you're allowing somebody who is outrageous to walk onto a show that's known for being outrageous. And then we all go, oh my gosh, what outrageous things have just happened? This is what McAfee's peddling. And this is why Rodgers likes going on that show, because he could just continue to show up and light cherry bombs and throw them in the toilet and wreck everything in the process.
Well,
What I like to do.
And an easy criticism you can make of Pat is, Pat will come out and say, "Oh, I'm good friends with these athletes and everything." Well, I mean, look at the interview on YouTube. Pat laughed it off, but Pat's wrapped around Aaron's finger. You know what I mean? Pat's not going to be like, "Hey, I'm in the ESPN, get off my show." No, Pat needs Aaron more than Aaron needs Pat, and that's part of the problem too. No, I agree with your assessment of where we're at, but it's unfortunate because right now, you know, media companies are owned by companies that need to make a profit. And the rough thing about it, and part of the reason why media has changed is there's more of a appetite for that. And I know it seems odd to say, but believe me, I've seen the other side of business too. And where it used to be, where you were writing these deep, long articles about a game or the city council meeting, people weren't buying that stuff. And I think now that's where you see more of the, hey, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and LeBron. And we're not even talking about how they throw the ball. It's more
but again, are you the news? Are you there to? Are you a drug dealer? What are you doing? You're supposed to be there to do some news. And if people can't get interested in things that actually do affect their lives or affect the games or affect the things that they care about, their city, their game, their local team, right, whatever else, if you can't write it in such a way that makes it interesting for the people who should be interested in those things, maybe the problem's on you.
Yeah, but I think I think it goes both ways. I think there's a lot more of the culture now that doesn't want to talk about the games anymore. They more want to talk about the crazy issues around it, and I think it goes both ways. There's a sense of how the media is interpreting it, but there's a sense of how society is interpreting it too, because people want to do that more. I mean, I'll be honest, we're kind of doing the same thing because in the past we were breaking down Steelers in March and April, and we're like, "Oh, what's going on with this guy? He possibly come right out." We're like, "No, we can't. We're not talking about rumors and everything." And we'll talk Steelers as we get closer to the season, but I don't know. I mean, I'm a big football.
But that's kind of I don't even want to use this word for what we're doing, but but that's kind of the integrity that we're talking about. When there isn't news about it, stop talking about it and pivot to something else that is happening. That's I don't know, interesting, relevant, anything. We're trying to do the some of the goofiest type of poop humor that you can do, but
of course,
so I can't use the word integrity, but I maybe that's why we're this show and not the Pat McAfee show, other than having insider access to people that you would have there. But at the same time, I don't want to be a part of all that level of speculation over craziness.
I'll be honest, we're not.
And I'm also not any good at breaking down game film, so I couldn't. I'm not gonna go research every single college prospect that's out there for the draft. Like, I'm just not gonna do it.
But let's be honest, the major difference between us and Pat, I know there's a lot of money there and everything, but Pat's got access to the ESPN analysts, which is fine. He's got access to the players, but you notice it's a very, say what you want about Pat as an interviewer, and I the show entertains me just for laughs. I mean, I'm not looking at for big time analysis, but he has this buddy relationship. Like you talk about, he knows these guys more than other people. No, he's like, if you look at those interviews with Steelers guys, like he had Mike McCarthy, had Omar Khan on. They weren't asking him hardball questions. It was just like, "Hey, how you feeling to be here?" and everything. Because it's like we're throwing softballs at each other. Where I'm not looking for these guys to start fighting each other, but it just, I don't know. It's more of a softball culture. It's like we can't piss off these other guys because if we do, they'll never come on our show again and everything. It's kind of, and that's why I'm kind of saying I'm not going to get bothered as much anymore about Aaron Rodgers. If you're on the MAGA side, don't get bothered by someone in sports you don't agree with. If you don't agree with them, you don't agree with them. It's fine, you know. If someone's on the other side of what you personally feel and they say something you don't agree with, whatever. You can still appreciate them as a player or a person. Just you don't have to agree with them politically or morally or whatever. It is what it is. So I don't know. Well, we're getting near the end. I know, Joe, you're saying you're getting a little tired. I'm kind of that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want, or you could do this now. Or we could wait till next week. I want you to talk about that play that's upcoming in New York. Do you want to wait till next week, or?
I can talk a little bit about it now if you'd like.
Sure, yeah.
So it's a play called John and Salome.
Okay.
It's written by Gillette Elvgren, who was my grad school professor and playwriting teacher. So he's one of my mentors. The play is about the biblical story of John and Salome, and it supposes that there was the potential that these people knew each other. John was being held in the house of Herod Antipas. He and his wife Herodotus were doing some things that John the Baptist had spoken out against, and so he was being held at the house while they decided what they were going to do with him. And he would have had the occasion to run into their and Herodotus's daughter Salome. And so the play kind of presupposes that John and Salome had conversations about who he was and what he was there to do, as he was the voice in the wilderness leading the way for the arrival of Jesus. And so it has the scenes that take place in the palace. That's kind of what it's about. The play is going to be presented as a partnership between New Threads Theater Company, which is a group that I work with a lot in their online playwriting groups. And it's being presented at Theater 315, which is connected to the Salvation Army in near Times Square, the Times Square core of the Salvation Army. So they have a theater space. It's about a block and a half from the TKTS booth in Times Square.
Cool.
I've gone up there the past couple of summers and done different projects, and so the guy who runs the theater portion of the Times Square core is a very good friend of mine, and so they're hosting this play reading, and I'm going to go up and I'm casting it right now, so I'm watching videos and looking at resumes and headshots, and we'll have a staged reading of the show. So the playwright will be there. The actors will have a Zoom rehearsal, and then I'll show up about the day before the reading, and we'll do some live in-person things so I can do some logistics. We're going to get up and be moving and have books in our hand as we so we'll talk about when somebody gets up and moves into the scene and moves back out with a minimal amount of actual blocking and stuff, but books will be in hand for the show. It's part of the development process for a play. You do a stage reading like this and hear it in front of an audience and see it a little bit with some movement and things. So it's a common thing that happens in the theater world, a stage reading, and then they figure out if that's something they want to produce further on. So it's fun and exciting to get to be a part of a project like this and get to go to New York and be a director for a couple of days.
Cool. Well, I think too, there's so much. I know. I just watched a YouTube video before I came on, where this guy was kind of making fun of pure flicks because the movies are very cheesy. But everything I've known from you over the years is you're trying to put out Christian content. It's not cheesy, and it's content that can work in the mainstream. Is it cool to have something like that you can present?
Yeah, so it's definitely a challenge. One of the things that Gil and I are both part of this writers group, and so some of the things that we talk about, it's not all believers that are a part of our writers group, but a number of us are. So there are times where we talk about what are the stories that we can pull from the Bible, some things that are scriptural, but at the same time really challenge us in terms of what this story was about and what we were talking about. He's been working on this idea of the character of Salome and the contrast between this younger person who is grown up into this world that uses, sexuality and manipulation and whatever else, coming up against a person who has been very straightforward and has a very set, so this is the way we behave, this is the way that we do things, this is what my task is in life, and has that stronger sense of direction. That's something that's relatable to anybody, rather than getting bogged down in like the theology of something, and trying to approach some of these stories that we may recognize or feel like we know from other references, but at the same time, if you can really explore some of those relevant topics through those scriptural stories, it's just another way of approaching these kinds of things that can be interesting for audiences to experience.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea.
When you approach a story like that and it has more of the preconceived answer and feels like an illustration, like you've got the little felt board, the little characters and whatever, and it comes up with a nice tidy answer. Those are the things that you start to get annoyed with. But there are so many parts of the scripture that deal with real human emotion and real complicated relationships, and treating them like sticky situations and complicated relationships is the kind of drama that we like to go and see in a show.
Do you get that feedback from like maybe non-Christians you work with, and they say, wow, this sounds cool? Like maybe they get the perception it's going to be this like preachy thing, and they're like, wow, you guys did it in a good way.
Yeah, sometimes it's choosing that right material, like, oh, you're doing that story. I've been working on a story of David and Bathsheba, which, has a context and has a way that it's typically presented. I know that the way I've received that story for a long time has been very much that presented almost as if Bathsheba was a temptress who was bathing in public, and therefore David oversaw her and was overtaken by these things. And that is not the way that Scripture tells that story at all. It is very much a power play that David abused his power and put her in a situation where she did not have a choice. This is a power rape kind of situation that echoes the kind of the kind of misdeeds that you see in Hollywood executives, that we've seen in political executives. That is something that resonates in modern day, where but we have the option to explore something that's coming out of Scripture and feel those resonances today by talking about this whole thing. That's a classic theater technique of telling a story from an older time that has resonances for the things that I'm talking about right now, but I'm telling the story of this thing from the past. And that's a common thread in theater storytelling technique.
Well, it's a critique now in the Christian viewpoint, because you look at any Christian man that makes some screwed up decision or mistake or the way they treat a woman. And so then people are like, oh, it's all Christian men. No, it's not. It's men who treat their wife badly. And sadly, Christian men do that, and non-Christian men can do that. And it's so you can almost speak to situations going on today, even based on the Bible, which is great. Being able to do that, it's fantastic. So, check out. Would that be available? Like, sadly, like people like me won't be able to go to New York to see it, but would there be a video available, or would they?
I'm really not sure. That's going to be something that's up to the folks at the Salvation Army at Theater 315. I don't know if we've had that conversation very much yet. We've been trying to get through the logistics of getting people right now, dealing with a big pile of resumes and headshots and stuff. So, but that's something that'll come up, and it may end up being something that we may record, but it'll only be for the benefit of the playwright to be able to go back and rewatch the show as he continues to develop the piece.
And obviously, you guys can make a more professional decision than I can. But, heck, if you can do a, I don't know, put on YouTube or something, it would help people.
Or even a live stream or something, just for so the people who can't be in their present there can actually still view and experience.
Definitely. If I could harp just for a second, I'll be quick and we can get out of here. CNN, there's an interview tonight. Max Miller, he's a Northeast Ohio politician. He's a U.S. rep. There's just a battle going on between him and his now ex-wife. There's some abuse allegations and everything. And again, we don't know the details. And obviously, for as stupid and as goofy show as ours, we're not going to make any judgment either way. But the strange thing about it is his ex-wife is the daughter for a U.S. senator from Ohio, and they're both Republicans. And usually, the Republicans, are in the same camp. But the senator, the dad of the woman that's accusing him of all these things, said, "Hey, you need to resign and everything." And there's all this gunk going back and forth. And again, the Republican Party is definitely not Christianity, but it's like, Joe, me, and Paul have been ripping on Republicans over the years. Clean up your crap. You know what I mean? When you have abuse allegations and everything else, you've got these people trying to defend themselves and everything. And it's like, don't you have to go away and like find repentance or whatever, or try to figure out how to clean up your life? And I just don't like how right now everyone's like, there's no, hey, something's going on, we really got to take a look at this. It's just more like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. And it's just, I don't know, it's so skeevy. It's just yuck. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, I don't know who's guilty or who's innocent in the whole thing, but true health is trying to find an answer without just trying to defend each other, themselves against each other. You know what I mean? It sucks. And Republicans do better. I'm sure there's people out there, and even people who listen to us are Republicans and say, "Man, these guys are turning to really flaming liberals or everything." No, I'm concerned because these people do not know how to operate within themselves. And if you're trying to say, "Hey, no, we're better than you," and everything else, don't have this crap happen. You know what I mean? Find an answer for it without having to yell at each other on CNN. It's dumb. Whoever is guilty or whoever is to blame, confess and move on. But stop trying to defend yourselves. It just makes you look bad. And no wonder why your guys are being mocked. I'll just leave it at that. So, I don't know. Ohio politics suck, dude. I'm sure Mississippi politics are perfect, but Ohio politics suck.
Literally no.
You just say at least.
It's one thing to be in a state where the debate is hot and heavy because there are evenly matched sides. Here, the vote is overwhelming, and so standing up to the prevailing wins is quite difficult.
Oh yeah, it's just amazing. It's amazing. All right. Before we go, any other thoughts on Paul? And we hope he's okay. But
I hope he recovers well after the late night VBS rave that he's been attending.
Oh yeah. Well, they've got. I mean, it's Tuesday. VBS goes on for a couple of days.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Shouldn't the late night rave be on the last day of VBS?
You would think, but I don't know.
Or maybe it's such a crazy VBS, it's like every night.
To be doing an evening thing. I just also feel like the VBS is so late in the season, but it feels late because I'm already into the first week of school. So,
yeah.
And y'all aren't doing that up there yet.
Oh, yes. I don't know. I think they have it different times. I mean, I think there's some parents who...
I'm just used to them being in June.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but August just feels crazy to me. But
yeah, I don't know. Well, some people will sit there and say, "Hey, we'll take our kids to VBS all throughout the summer."
And, right, you go from like church to church and keep dumping them off at VBSs. Yeah,
and if you need time by yourself, it's pretty good. Looking at the time, I'm looking at Paul's calendar. 6:30 VBS, 6:30 to 8:30. So. So we've got the late night parties from 8:30 to 11:30. How about that?
Apparently.
Well, it goes late. It goes to 8:30.
I
Not
don't know
all
what the
VBS
I don't know
late,
what the VBS's subtopic is at that point. Doing the 8 p.m.
yeah,
events.
yeah. Well, I'm sure Paul had something going on, or
Mm-hmm.
or maybe Mrs. Paul said, "Hey, hang out with me tonight." And hey, sometimes you need to do that. It's a good thing to do. So, all right. Well, I keep forgetting this. Good YouTubers bring this up right away, but how to support us. Give us a like and subscribe. We have daily content. Thanks to my friends from Taj AI. They gave me an AI program that I've been using. We've got content pumping to you every day. We got food, pop culture, sports. You should check out my food podcast. Paris Wolf, coworker of mine at Cleveland.com, was like, Chris, you podcast. Can you teach me how to podcast? So she's a food writer for Cleveland.com. We do a half hour each week on fast food. Joe, how about that?
Oof. So you do a fast podcast on fast food?
Yes, yes. Well, here's the problem. I can't eat any of this good stuff that Paris talks about.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is good. She's like, do you have it? No. And she's like, why are we talking about this? I'm like, well,
You're just
I
torturing
like
yourself.
talking about it. Yeah. I don't have to
Torturing
eat it.
yourself.
Yes. Yeah. It's very tough. So, yeah, check us all out. Give us a like and subscribe. For Joe, I'm Chris, and for Paul, who's dancing a jig somewhere out there in Akron, have a great day, everybody.